Today we're going to take a look at MSI's GT73 VR laptop that features two GTX 1070 cards in SLI and costs a lot of money, $3,400 USD or around 5,300 Australian dollars. And at that price, you're probably wondering, what can this thing do? Well, let's take a look. Welcome back to Tech Yes City. This is Brian coming to you guys today with the biggest laptop I have seen yet. It is so huge, in fact, that it needs two power bricks, which are rated at 330 watts apiece and connect via their own SLI magic to power this thing alone. Then on top of that, it weighs in at a solid 5 kilograms for the laptop by itself, and it also features a 17.3-inch IPS display that runs at 120 Hz at 1080p. I found this monitor to be quite good in gaming and also didn't have any noticeable ghosting, and it also had a very impressive levels of input lag, beating out my Atron Vision 1440p Korean panel, which is mediocre, but still it is good to see a laptop beating this monitor in both input lag and response times. It also features an Intel i7-7820HK mobile processor, which has a stock frequency of 2.9 GHz and features Intel's latest Kaby Lake IPC and comes with Windows 10 64-bit Home Edition. Though, how did it perform in the real world? Well, it scored 858 Cinebenches in Cinebench R15 and allowed the CPU to boost all the way up to 4 GHz on all cores and hit around 91 degrees max at 25 degrees ambience, which was very impressive for a laptop, though the noise did get very loud, near jet-like-esque levels, and after running AIDA64 for a good 20 minutes, the CPU did hover between 3.6 to 4 GHz, meaning it was slightly throttling itself during this benchmark and will perform like this in programs like Adobe Premiere Pro Final Renders. For memory, there is two sticks of 16 GB of DDR4 2400 memory in dual channel configuration for a total of 32 GB. This will allow you to do things like mobile video editing quite well, even in 4K with the included scissor switch keyboard designed by SteelSeries. It includes RGB LED backlighting that can be configured in different modes. This also extends to the touchpad itself. And typing on this thing was not only a breeze, but there was also a numpad there, which I'm personally a big fan of, and it was quite responsive. Though how well could I type on this keyboard? Well, let's take a look and a listen. There is also quite a large touchpad, which was very solid, and the clicks on the buttons felt very firm and had good feedback, though I seriously would recommend getting a mouse, as I personally can't do hardly anything on touchpads, with the limitations being as far as opening a movie to sending an email, which if you are like me and that is all you need to do when traveling, then the touchpad will work quite well. Also above the escape key you have DIN audio speakers, which is powered by the Realtek ALC899 codec, which has support for up to 24-bit 192 kHz stereo output and features decent sound with 3-watt speakers and is quite loud and clear for a laptop, though of course lacking any warmth or bass is to be expected since it doesn't have anything near the likes of a decent subwoofer. Though what about the audio crosstalk levels? Well, while playing some left and right speaker tests, the levels showed crosstalks of almost even levels, meaning this was some of the worst audio I've seen on a device thus far. Audio was leaking from left to right channels and vice versa to the other channels, even when I completely muted the device. I will let you guys take a listen.
Left channel, left channel, left channel.
Also, there is a mic built into the laptop and also what looks like a slot for a webcam that sits just above the screen. Though I couldn't get this to work, indicating that there might not even be a webcam present. Though the mic import was quite good and clear and had a good signal with almost no noise. Though again, I'll let you guys have a quick listen. Here's what the GT73 VR laptop will sound like. The mic in port with a V-Motor Boom Pro plugged directly into that mic in port with a plus 20 dB gain with a volume level of 55. The laptop also includes 1TB of backup storage on a 7200 RPM HDST drive, and for main storage you get what looks like two Intel 600p NVMe PCIe 240GB SSDs in RAID 0. An odd configuration, though it makes boot times fast, measuring in at roughly 13 seconds from a cold boot to Windows, and also general usage was super snappy as well. Though personally for things like video editing and large file transfers, I am not a fan of these drives at all, as they have quite poor performance in terms of consistency. You can check out a review of these up here. Though, moving on into the crux of this review, the dual GTX 1070s that are in SLI. This is a huge amount of CUDA cores for a laptop, 4096 to be exact, placing it above even that of the latest Titan XP that was recently released. There is also a total of 16GB of GDDR5 VRAM clocked at 8000 MHz effective, though in most titles you'll only have a max of 8GB available, and of course since it is an SLI it won't scale perfectly unless the game calls for it, which as we know is always hit and miss. Though looking at the 3D Mark V Strike score, it managed to get 31,122 GPU and 12,477 CPU for a combined score of 7,558, coming in at comparable levels to that of my main desktop gaming PC, and of course playing games with the frame rates that were through the roof at 1080p. This configuration would be suited for 1440p ultra-wide or even 4K high settings in gaming, though in games itself the noise of the laptop did reach levels similar to the CPU test, and the GPUs did hover around 80 degrees and also stayed at those levels whilst gaming in For Honor for quite some time, though I'll let you guys have a quick listen to how loud this laptop can actually get whilst gaming. The base of this laptop also features 3 USB 3 ports on the left hand side, a headphone out, line in and out, and also mic in ports. There's also vents on all sides of the laptop allowing for efficient heat dissipation and airflow. On the right hand side there is a further 2 USB 3 ports and a memory card SD reader, and on the rear there is a proprietary power in, a Thunderbolt port, an RJ45 jack powered by the killer E2500 NIC, HDMI 2.0 and mini display 1.4 outs. For wireless there is the killer N/A/AC 1535, and you also get Qualcomm Atheros 4.1 Bluetooth support. The killer software included also means that if you're on a congested network, then it can prioritize packets and help with gaming, which I have tested in the past and can make a difference on poor quality connections. Not that I recommend gaming on a congested network to begin with. Battery life is also a funny thing. If you unplug the power brick, then games will run incredibly slow, and you will still then only get about 1 hour off the battery itself. Not that you'd want a game like this at all, though there is a feature to switch off the GPUs via a button on the right hand side, and after you've restarted the computer, you can get quite a good run if you do this, and if you need this laptop for doing work while you're on a business trip, for example, then you can expect quite decent battery up life. Where in this mode there was just a little bit under 4 hours battery life when I was watching YouTube videos. So now we're finally at conclusion time, and honestly a laptop like this is geared towards people who need some level of portability, more than a desktop, but need ridiculous amounts of power, and keep in mind that you will be paying for it, with the model here coming in at roughly 3,400 USD or 5,300 Aussie. I honestly couldn't see myself personally purchasing one of these, as they are much heavier and less portable than a smaller, lighter sized laptop, and still, although very close, not as powerful as a dedicated desktop PC, and you are still susceptible to SLI problems versus a single 1080 Ti, for example. The fans will also get quite noisy when performing any tasks that I would otherwise perform on my desktop on extreme load, and also the crosstalk levels on audio was so bad to the point where I'd recommend getting a dedicated DAC amp solution. Though with that said, it is an extremely nice laptop, and the 120Hz 1080p IPS display is gorgeous and great to game on, and this is a laptop that features everything that I could think of. Dual 1070s, a fast 4-core 8-threaded i7, a solid keyboard with RGB backlighting, great utility and connectivity, and also has cool apps like MSI's True Color sRGB, which gives you a claimed 100% sRGB accuracy. With the fans and the temps as loud as they are though, I would not recommend overclocking on this model, and didn't dare delve into the depths of overclocking on this as much as I would have loved to, since it was a lone sample and the temperatures were already quite high to begin with whilst gaming. Though the build quality is nice, and if you are into needing a desktop replacement computer that you can take to LAN events or your friend's house, and then when you come home want to plug into a larger, higher res monitor, then you can do that of course with the GT73 VR. And that VR label is of course stating that it has the power to play anything that a VR headset would demand, though just remember that it will cost you monetarily. Also, the model I have here was a little bit of a mystery since I couldn't find an exact model with the i7-7820HK and 120Hz display and dual GTX 1070s, and there are a lot of different models out there, though I'd ultimately prefer one with a 120Hz 1080p screen and a single GPU and power brick. I think that would be the way to ultimately go if you wanted to purchase one of these laptops. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's review of MSI's GT73 VR Titan SLI gaming laptop, and let me know what you think of it in the comments section below. Would love to hear your thoughts and opinions as always, and I'll catch you in another tech video very soon. Peace out for now. Bye.